Debbie, are we ready in the back?
Good morning, Jane.
Jane, are we ready in the front? We are. Okay, Polly, good to go? All right. Well, good morning. Today is Wednesday, October 15th, 2025, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 866-914-607#. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on a best effort for the public. Our meeting is also live streamed, and you can join us online by going to our website. Other viewing options are available at tctvonline.com. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to the public comments email on our website. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email public comments by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners Office, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon, 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. Do we have anyone signed up in the room, or is anyone registered online for public comment this morning? No. We do not. Okay, great. Well, I would like to welcome our guests in the room and remind them to please sign the guest list if they have not yet done that. And then we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Commissioner Fournier, would you please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right, we do not have public comment and we do not have non-agenda items today, so we'll jump straight into our legislative administrative agenda with number 5, consideration of Oregon Health Authority Choice Model Services Intergovernmental Agreement number PO-44300-000501118. And we have Frank Hanna Williams, Executive Director of Tillamook Family Counseling with us. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, all. This is Frank Hanna Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center. This Choice Model Services agreement before you provides funds for the support of the work that is done by a position that we have at the agency that we call our Exceptional Needs Care Coordinator. These funds support the work of the Exceptional Needs Care Coordinator when it specifically relates to the kinds of special coordination that is needed regarding people who have what I would describe as being a severe and persistent mental illness. It relates to coordination between our staffing and the Oregon State Hospital when there is someone who is returning to the community. It relates to some work that is done by the coordinator in terms of accessing long-term care. Could be community care, could be the work of our assertive community treatment team, which supports people with comprehensive care who need some additional kinds of supports. It could be work that is done in terms of accessing the supports of an adult foster home. We have relationships with adult foster care facilities in the community. It is a high level of care coordination. Some of the funds can be used for the services directly, and some of the funds can be used to support the position of the care coordinator. For this period of time, the funds are about $25,000, And during the next period of the, during the next biennium, during the rest of the biennium, they would be for 75,000. So a total of 100,000, but for this, the 25, and I would request your approval.
Thank you. Questions or comments, commissioners?
Thank you for being here in person this morning. Nice to see you. I'm fully supportive of this. I think it's very important work and really requires trained one-on-one assistance for people with those conditions to be able to live in the community successfully and integrate. And I'm glad that the funding is available for that work.
I concur with that, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is one of those really key positions, and the more we sort of have these conversations with the state about what do we do with folks who are returning to our communities and how do we care for them, it's really important that there is this position available to really get people set up for success. So appreciate that. We're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of an Oregon Health Authority Choice Model Services Intergovernmental Agreement number PO-44300-000501118.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. So carries. Okay, item 6, consideration of an 8th amendment to the Oregon Health Authority 2024-2025 Intergovernmental Agreement number 44300-000260023 for the financing of community mental health, addiction treatment, recovery and prevention, and problem gambling services. Frank?
Thank you. This is again, focusing on the period between July and December 31st of this year. This is for funding for two particular service areas. One is for our jail diversion program. It's about 30,000. And the other is for our mobile crisis intervention. And that is a little over 30. It's a total of $63,000 and covers the period between, again, between July 1, 25 and 12/31, 25. I could, these are two services that we are involved with in the community and to support Tillamook County residents in this way. And this brings those dollars into the agency.
Perfect. Thank you. Questions or comments, commissioners?
Can you tell us a little bit about jail diversion?
Yes, I could tell you a little bit about jail diversion. I think what I would say is that this involves some work that we would be doing with parole and probation. It would be some work that we'd be doing specifically around when we have the opportunity to divert from when a person is incarcerated, we also want to be able to acknowledge that if they have difficulties with the justice system, that their mental health is acknowledged, and that there is some support around that. It doesn't mean that it is saying that they don't need to be responsible for what has occurred, but we also want to be able to create some mechanisms by which their mental illness and their substance use concerns can be treated as well. So this involves some partnerships with parole and probation, involves some partnerships with the Sheriff's Department, and that's really what we're talking about here. Making sure that when persons are involved with the justice system, that there also is some collaboration around the treatment of their mental health concerns.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm glad you asked, because I also wanted to ask you to maybe expand a little bit on the mobile crisis team, because this was something that wasn't around when I was a police officer, and encountering situations where I really wish there was one of these things. So could you just talk to how that kind of works in our community?
Sure. How that works in our community is that we have a crisis staff, and we want to be able to respond not only in the office or in the setting of the emergency room, but we'd like to be able to respond before that happens. Sometimes there are concerns that are brought to the attention, say they're brought to the attention of law enforcement that are in the community, and I think that we have, over time, developed the kinds of relationships where law enforcement can let us know when there is a, we've done collaborative consultation, discussions that they would let us know. And let's say that there is something that is occurring in the community, law enforcement responds. They don't, the limits of their response are done, but they also need some additional support. The additional support of this is not somebody that's going to get arrested, but it could be someone where some intervention is needed. They would then call our staff, and our staff would respond. We, in the best of all scenarios, at a certain point, we're going to kind of mutually agree, law enforcement, you can leave, and we will do what is needed, whether it's an intervention there, if it's a little bit more heightened, it could be that the intervention needs to take place there needs to be some emergency room response. We'll meet you there, or it could be, let's get this person over to the emergency room and we will meet you at that point, and then we'll follow up with the assessment. So it involves, it's exactly as it says, it's a response that's mobile and could occur out in the community. So when those things occur, that's when it's, I think, optimal.
Great, I appreciate it. I can tell you this change is a game changer for how we deal with these crises, because you don't always need a police officer there with a gun and badge and doing this kind of work, and we're not trained for that. So this is fantastic. So I support this 100%.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the
Did I
greatest.
describe it
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best enhancements that the state has come forward and said, look, here's some money. We want to support this because it is a huge piece. And we do know that so much of so many of our folks who wind up in law enforcement's response and ultimately in our jails, sometimes that's just not really where they need to be. And these two programs really together, the diversion and the mobile crisis, give us the opportunity to have a couple of different intervention points where we may be able to get them what they really, really need. Of course, there's always that piece of their personal choice that comes in that I know, and I mention that because I think the public is often questions, how come nobody's helping these individuals, right? And in many cases, law enforcement has responded, crisis team has responded, but that it hasn't risen to a level where they can be removed lawfully and appropriately. So it's an interesting piece, but I really do want people to know that crisis response exists. It's mobile. It's there to help. But there are just natural limitations on it within the law. I don't know if you want to say anything about
We'd
that.
much prefer to be able to respond in the community.
Yeah.
And it is a, there's no offense to law, we want law enforcement to be there in the community, but it doesn't. There are a number of times in which that the response can take place in another fashion.
I would say that
Oh.
it shouldn't be surprising, but there is no offense taken from law enforcement. We've been asking for this for years, to have professionals that are trained in that to do the response, because it wasn't, we want the appropriate response.
Yeah.
So no offense taken.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I think
Thank
we're
you.
ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of an 8th Amendment to the Oregon Health Authority 2024-2025 Intergovernmental Agreement Number 44300-000-26023 for the financing of community mental health, addiction treatment, recovery, and prevention, and problem gambling services.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
No, just in follow-up
No.
with Paul's comment, is that certainly, perhaps we could arrange to have a little more of a discussion about and maybe it could be done at a workshop, if you wanted to go into a little bit more detail about what happens when that, sometimes things go smoothly and sometimes things don't, and perhaps we could outline how it goes for both of those, for both of those things, and maybe at a workshop.
Good suggestion.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
Glad
you,
to do
Frank.
that.
You and I've talked about,
Yeah.
and now we get to
Maybe
catch
at
you
a workshop.
before your retirement to come maybe and have maybe one more conversation to
Okay.
just sort of talk about all those things.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank
We're
you.
glad to do that.
All right,
Thank you.
so, thank you. I do have a motion and a second. We have had further discussion and will now call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Frank.
Okay. Item 7, consideration of amendment number 2 to the Meaningful Language Access Grant Agreement with Columbia Pacific Coordinated Care Organization, LLC. Marlene Putman, Administrator, Health and Human Services. Good morning, Marlene.
Good morning, commissioners, and good morning, Frank Hannah Williams, if you're still there. This this item, as indicated, is an amendment to an agreement that we have with Columbia Pacific Coordinated Care Organization for our Meaningful Language Access Grant. This specifically pertains to the reporting requirements that occurred during the 12-month period of the grant, which modified 2 of the dates from March 1st to April 1st and from June 1st to July 1st. Those are the details. The specifics about the inputs that were included in this Excel template are included really briefly in page 1 of the document, but really it pertains to who's receiving the service, what type of interpretation is occurring, what's the certified interpreter registration number or proof that they're certified, those types of things. So, short reminder, this grant is in order to ensure that people who are providing interpretation services are doing so in a manner that is in compliance with state law and rules, and also just best practices for one-on-one interpretation, in our case, for those whose primary language is Spanish and they prefer to receive their services in their primary language. So we would be adding a staff person as well as ensuring existing people who are in process who want to become certified can do so. That includes our physicians and advanced practice providers.
Thank you. Questions or comments, commissioners?
Not for me.
Done.
Okay, no, I support this. I think that my daughter went and did an internship this summer. She wants to be a physical therapist, and she was in Peru, and they were speaking Spanish. And she said, it's very, very different to use medical language when you are in a language that is not your own. So I think it's one of those reflections that that even folks who are here who have the basic understanding and ability to communicate in English, when it comes to complicated medical terminology, that's a very different piece of the language. So I appreciate that this is here. I appreciate that we have providers and staff who are wanting to be certified and that we do provide those who are already certified. So thank you. I think this is a great. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I'd like to just build on that. I appreciate your comments that when I'm a breast cancer survivor, and when I had cancer, it was so stressful to go to medical appointments, and a lot of the terminology was new. A lot of the things I had to learn were new, and it was in my language. It was very stressful, and somebody told me that in a stressful medical situation, it's anticipated that you might get 30%. You might really understand and retain 30% of what's said to you. So it's a good idea to bring somebody with you. That's in your own language. So just imagine what it would be like for someone in another language. I think this is really invaluable.
Great. Okay, I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of amendment number 2 to the Meaningful Language Access Grant Agreement with Columbia Pacific Coordinated Care Organization, LLC.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Item 8, consideration of a professional services agreement with Parametrics, Inc. for environmental compliance support for the Manzanita and Pacific City Transfer Station Stormwater Services Project. Justin Weiss.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the next,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
you went mute.
can you hear me now?
We can. You have a gremlin.
All right. So item 8, 9, and 10 are very similar. This is our longstanding agreement with Parametrics. They've been doing stormwater enforcement and sampling with the county for, I believe, over about 10 years or so. So the first one listed there was for Manzanita and Pacific City. This would be for all the, excuse me, all the sampling services at the 2 transfer stations, as well as some annual submittals. The total value of the 3 contracts is under 100,000, so we didn't split them up for any reason in terms of financial numbers, but for reporting, we do have our overflow stormwater grant we're utilizing for construction, as well as some DEQ loans. And so for grant reporting, loan submittals, we'll have everything nicely chunked out and be easier for submittals there. So that was our thinking on doing the 3 separate agreements, a little bit more paperwork, but we appreciate Isabel pushing that through. So happy to answer any questions on the first one, but that's for Manzanita, Pacific City, mostly site sampling and annual submittals to DEQ for stormwater.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Seems like a continuation of the contract.
Agree. Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with Parametrics, Inc. for environmental compliance support for the Manzanita and Pacific City Transfer Station Stormwater Services Project.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, number 9, consideration of a professional service agreement with Parametrics, Inc. for environmental compliance support for the Tillamook closed landfill and transfer station sampling services project. Justin.
So this would be site specific for the closed landfill and Tillamook transfer station. There we also have 2 outfalls that we do quarterly sampling on. So that we include in this contract, as well as some sampling of the leachate, which is all of the I guess juices, for lack of a better term, that accumulate at the bottom of the landfill, and we have to extract that and see what type of components in there. So this one is very similar to the previous one, just site specific to the Tillamook transfer station and the closed landfill leachate sampling. This sampling is a little bit more intensive, about 10 samples per fallout. So we're going to have Parametrics execute the sampling this time around on that site. It was kind of a big task for us to take on, but we'll be doing the sampling in Manzanita, Pacific City. Good opportunity to train up some of the leads on sites to do some stormwater sampling and get them knowledgeable of operations there. So just a little bit more background, and happy to answer any questions on item 9 if you do have any.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Maybe use the term landfill liquids rather than landfill juices. That's just a
Good
suggestion.
feedback, Commissioner Fournier. I agree with you there. Yeah,
All right.
better word choice.
Otherwise, it
Thank
sounds
you.
like that's something we can bottle and sell. Landfill
Yeah,
juice?
Tillamook, landfill juice. Taste the rainbow.
Yeah, might be a good idea. Let's look into it.
Madam Chair, are you ready for a motion?
I was going to ask one more question. In years past, Justin, there's been quite a lot of conversation and I think work done with varying student groups and others to try to figure out if there was a way to get the leachate process to a point that it was no longer requiring this management. And because in part we have a large fund sinking fund for the landfill that we have to hang on to, I think until this leachate is eliminated or rendered safe or something. I feel like we've had these conversations in the past. Can you just, I don't feel like you have to go super deep, but just kind of touch a little on that and how that all works?
No, great for bringing that up, Commissioner Scar. I think might be most beneficial we move to item 10 because that contract is actually for execution of some ideas on how we can reduce the leachate level. But yeah, I'll jump into it real quick, I guess. So closed landfill, we have high levels of copper, I believe zinc, and we're also having an E. coli problem that we're struggling to find the source of the E. coli. So yeah, this has been going on for quite a while. They tried working with the Oregon State University, using science students to do oyster filtration and getting real creative. And so they had a little success, but we need to get those levels under a certain threshold for DEQ to allow us to discharge them into the local water system, I guess you could say. So that would basically be on Epcloff Road there and letting the water leave the site. So we're not there yet. I did meet with, I know we talked about this at previous meetings, the worms for remediation, using worms to extract some of those hard metals, those components, and then they leave the casts behind, which contain the components. So that was, a $200-300 pilot. Part of this agreement that we're going to discuss here, number 10, that's for the closed landfill engineering services. That has some money built into it where we're going to have parametrics look into whether we can extract 10-20% from that 1.1 million roughly that we have, that closed landfill reserve. So I have to put a little money into it to see if we can get the money out of it. But I do think, putting 10 grand in to possibly getting a couple $100,000 to do some remediation or try some different tactics is worth it. So we're going to move forward with that. And that's all part of our next agreement for discussion for the engineering services for the landfill.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and take a vote on number 9.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with Parametrics, Inc. for environmental compliance support for the Tillamook Closed Landfill and Transfer Station Sampling Services Project.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Item 10, consideration of a professional services agreement with Parametrics, Inc. for environmental compliance support for the Tillamook Closed Landfill and Transfer Station Engineering Services Project. Justin, was there anything else you wanted to say about that, or did we draw out that conversation before?
No, one other thing to add on that, Commissioner Scar, besides looking into the closed landfill reserve funds and whether we can help move along the remediation processes, we're also going to be doing, as I mentioned, the E. coli issue. So E. coli levels, again, have been testing high for, I think, over a decade. It's been struggling to find the source. There's a natural spring. It might be a septic leak that we're looking into now. So because we hit such high levels of E. coli, this contract has a component where we're going to need to redesign the bioswale on site and hopefully capture more of that E. coli. So it's called a tier 2 corrective action. And so because of the high levels, we have to take some steps towards mitigating the E. coli. From what I've heard, has been a long time coming. So that's the second part of this agreement would be for the leachate as well as the E. coli component. They're slightly separate. One's leachate and one the E. coli. We don't know quite where it's coming from. So there's the background on that.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments, commissioners, on this piece?
No question. Glad to see you. You're still at it. I go to the meetings, the SWAC meetings, and this has been a problem, ongoing problem. So hopefully we can get closer to the solution with these studies.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about the source of the E. coli problem. I was curious about what you just said about a potential nearby septic leak. And I just think it's worth talking about for a second that people don't necessarily know. If they have old tanks, they don't necessarily know that they're leaking, and then there are bigger implications for surrounding water.
Yeah, no, great point, Commissioner. We actually, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, part of our enforcement action that we had a few years back, we had to push some funds towards a local project, and we connected with Tillamook Estuary Partnership to divert some of our fine money towards them. And they're working on a septic program to replace old systems to make sure that they're not leaking, not creating issues in the waterways. And so that's wrapping up here at the end of the year, and likely have TEP come by and they can share some of their findings and what was accomplished through that septic repair program. So that just wanted to share that with all of you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be great. And that was partnered also with the DEQ grant that the Tillamook County facilitated for Columbia, Clatsop, and Tillamook counties, which also had funds for repair of septic tanks for folks who could not afford to do it themselves. So I think, I think in Tillamook County, there's been a couple of different projects that have been funded to really try to remediate this problem, because we know it's crucial. We know clean water is what makes everything work in our world, and septic tanks, while they are an absolutely crucial part, sometimes do fail. So,
And they're expensive to fix.
they're very
So
expensive
it's
to
nice
fix.
to get a little help.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, I think we are ready for a motion on number 10.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with Parametrics, Inc. for environmental compliance support for the Tillamook closed landfill and transfer station engineering services project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hey,
Well,
Justin, can I,
I was gonna say we have a conversation. to
Justin, can you
pursue.
hang on the line? Because we're gonna have a conversation at the end, for board concerns, and I'd like to maybe have you chime in if you have anything to add.
Sure.
Okay.
I will hang
Just
around.
one more official item and then we'll jump to that one. Okay, so we'll do number 11, consideration of an order in the matter of establishing a procedure for engaging outside legal counsel. Rachel Hegarty, Chief Administrative Officer. Blah, blah, blah.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
One of the actions called for in the strategic plan that you adopted last year was implementing department audits, which we're now calling operational services assessments. So we're beginning in the central services departments and specifically with the Office of County Counsel. We had an outside attorney complete an assessment earlier this year. We had a lot of good feedback and observations, and there were several recommendations set forth in that assessment that we've been since considering and beginning to implement. One of the recommendations is to have a single point of decision making. And so in trying to streamline our processes and clarify procedures, this board order is intending to do that. The assessment identified the absence of a formal policy governing who has the authority to engage an outside counsel. On behalf of the county, those approvals have just gone through our regular procurement process, but this is a little bit different. These types of services are different, and so there's a desire and a best practice to have that funnel through one point person. And so I'm currently serving as the contract officer for the county, and so the board has expressed interest in that single point of decision making being an authority of myself. And so upon your approval of today of this order, the contract policy in lieu of the larger updates that we need to do is a bit of a one-off that amends one part of it. So provision 5 in the board order states the following subsection is hereby added to section C, delegation of contracting authority and procedures of the county contract policy. It's a new subsection 110. Notwithstanding the foregoing, only the chief administrative officer or designee has the authority to enter into any contract for legal services. If contracts for legal services are entered into by a county representative other than the chief administrative officer or designee, the legal services shall not be supported by county funds. So this is ready for consideration.
Thank you, Rachel. Questions or comments, commissioners? Oh, yes, please.
It just, back in the day, I don't remember us engaging outside counsel very often. I was more of a jack of all trades, and I'd jump into things and it seems like they'd somehow get rectified. Well, those days are long gone. We now have the need of engaging outside counsel because things are so much more complicated and so much more litigious. So I agree with Rachel. It's really a good idea to get a point person to coordinate all of that, and it's really necessary.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I appreciate this. It's, as Rachel said, it's part of our strategic planning and how we're addressing our budget issues for one thing, also efficiency. And I agree with Bill also that it's the legal landscape has changed so much. Law is so highly specialized now, and our society is so litigious that it seems like we need a different lawyer, every time we turn around, but it's very expensive. So in looking at the way that we spend money and how the things we need to spend it on, we just want more oversight. And I think that there will be more of these coming forward, in terms of contract spending, et cetera. We want to a single point of responsibility.
If I could add to that, I forgot to mention, this is just the formality of revision to the policy. It is not meant to imply that would be exercising this authority independently. Of course, I would be talking with county council, I would be keeping the commissioners informed, et cetera. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
You said it well. I have nothing to add to what you said, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Commissioner Bell laid it out well along with Rachel, so.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move approval of order number 25-063 in the matter of establishing a procedure for engaging outside legal counsel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, board concerns. Commissioner Fournier, I know.
I will bring this forward, but we all know about this, but, and Justin knows about this very well. There is the Coffee Butte landfill in Benton County. There's kind of a controversy around whether the expansion is being approved or not. And you can have more technical information about this. I did receive a letter, a request to submit some written testimony in support of this landfill being expanded, having the expansion go forward. And what we wanted to talk about today real briefly is just so the public understands that this is where our trash goes currently. We don't have a landfill. If you just heard Justin explain, we have problems with our previous landfill that we're still mitigating. It's very expensive just to do that. And our land use, as Chair Scar will talk about soon, really limits our ability to have another landfill. So we have to rely on other counties at this point. And if this landfill closes, the next closest one is in Arlington out in the gorge, which would require us to ship our garbage to the valley and then put it on trains and then bring it out there, which would add significant expense. So I think myself and my fellow commissioners are in support of trying to have this expansion go forward, but I will let you speak to more of the technical stuff behind it. And Justin, if you have anything to say, please raise your hand and chime in.
Yeah. So we all received this request for comment from I think it's Benton County Clean and something. Anyway. Anyway.
Benton Clean and Strong Coalition Outreach.
Clean and Strong Coalition Outreach. And so as we know, for land use decisions, we have to look at the land use criteria in order to make comment that hopefully will get included in the record, give us standing in the record should it ever need to be appealed, all of those things. So I took a little bit of a dive into their staff report as to why the Planning Commission in Benton County had denied this expansion, because it does sit in a zoning area that is allowable for landfills, but it does require a conditional use because part of their land is actually forest conservation. And so that's where you see their ability to sort of deny this. And they denied it on two fronts. One was that they had not appropriately dealt with concerns relating to odor, and they had not appropriately dealt with concerns relating to noise. So with those two findings, the Planning Commission denied it. It has been appealed to their Board of County Commissioners, which is where it sits now. They will be hearing it next week on the 22nd. I have not yet had a chance to dive back in. I expect that Republic, which is the company that owns the landfill, has likely submitted additional information before it goes before the board, and I'm going to jump in and try to find that today in hopes that maybe they have fully addressed the concerns related to noise and odor, because those are based on, one of them was a DEQ, and I think the other there was another agency involved, and I forget what the noise one was. So anyway, I will be sending a letter to the Benton County Commissioners in support of the landfill expansion. Hopefully I will be able to reference the land use pieces of this, as well as what additional data may have been added that would make it so that they have met the requirements, because that's certainly the goal. None of us would want to request or push a landfill on a community if that landfill has not met the requirements, right? I mean, we wouldn't want that to happen in our community, and we wouldn't want to do that to another community. That said, if they've met the land use requirements, we really need this landfill for our purposes as well. So we had hoped to maybe have a letter together that we could all sign, but they're just the way their timing fell, it wasn't possible. We would have had to approve that letter sitting here today because the comments are due by the 20th. So I think that each of us are free to write our own letter if we wish, but yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
I appreciate the bringing this up as a board concern. it is, of course, a concern for all the reasons you've stated. I think it would be difficult for our community to bear the burden of considerably higher costs to ship it further away. And so, it's something we need. And it would be great for us if Benton County could continue to accept garbage. But also, there's a part of me that feels for the community because I drive through there occasionally, and on some days it reeks just driving up the highway. And I think, if I lived in that area, that would be extremely disturbing to me. It's agricultural, but there are farms there, there are homes there, and so I think it is incumbent upon the service provider to figure out how to address that odor problem.
Absolutely.
It's serious, and it wouldn't be something that I would wish on that community.
Sure, 100%. Yeah. And I'm hopeful they will have added additional information to let us know how they're going to meet that requirement.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Justin, do you have anything to add to that or any insight that you can offer?
Yeah, commissioners, that was a great overview. I know we talked about this a few months ago at SWAC. We had a good conversation with the haulers. Commissioner Fournier was there. And yeah, Keep Benton Clean and Strong Coalition that reached out to me. I had also just received that letter for comment and just got that cleared with Chris Lady, Director of Public Works. Wasn't sure if we needed to have legal, analysis on that. So I was drafting something, and I know the deadline is coming up. So feel free to reach out to me, commissioners, if I can point you towards any resources. I think a letter from all of us would be great. More support, and I really appreciate y'all bringing up, both sides of the story as I've gone through. Kind of plotting my letter is, the community has their concerns, but the landfill is also quite essential for cost savings and for the local community. So it's a tough middle ground we're in. But yeah, I think Commissioner Scarr, like you said, if they're meeting all of the conditional use permit requirements, I think we should support the landfill expansion. And I know that through multiple versions, they keep peeling back the size of the expansion. They've adjusting it to try to make it smaller and more less of an environmental liability. So yeah, I support these efforts. I think a letter from all of us would be great. And we're going to continue to talk about this with SWAC moving into the new year. But this is part of the foundational groundwork we have to do to kind of see where this is going to go. So glad to see this brought up today. And let me know if I can help with any resources or if you have any questions this afternoon.
Perfect.
I would love if you could email me your letter so I could see what the kernels of genius you put in that. And I think it's funny that there's a fly flying around us when we're talking about garbage and landfill juice.
It's a sign. Yeah. Yeah, Commissioner, I can do that. I'll share my rough draft this afternoon and give you some talking points. So we can do that.
Great.
Justin, before you leave, one more thing. I always do this to you. One more thing. Yeah, man, yeah, that's a different subject.
Oh, we're changing subjects. Yeah.
Another board concern.
Changing subjects, Justin, I just wanted to share with you that I met with another community county leader on Friday, and who went out of their way to tell me how much they admire you and what great work you're doing. They were in the leadership team meeting that we all took about engagement, employee engagement. And they said they had ended up in several of the small groups with you, and you were so smart and so positive and great ideas, and it was just a pleasure to work with you. And they wanted me to know, so I want you to know.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I've done, some of those leadership and group trainings and retreats and things. And so, yeah, I know sometimes people roll their eyes at them, but I think there's a lot of value communicating with people you haven't talked to, hearing different ideas from different departments. And yeah, I like to share too much sometimes, but yeah, I think it's important to be an open book and really, share how you feel about things and try to keep it positive for the most part. So thank you for that feedback, Commissioner. Yeah, I try to carry myself in some way in that regard each day, but it's not always easy. So thank you. I appreciate those words.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners.
Are there any other board concerns today?
Bill, you have any concerns?
Oh, wait.
I don't.
Wait, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Tomorrow, the Great American Shakeout.
Right.
10/16 at 10:16 a.m. It's a nationwide observation of the Great American Shakeout. We're all to practice our earthquake response at 10:16. A lot of public organizations do this, observe this, schools do it, kids get to practice. But here in Tillamook County, we have something additional going on that's very important, and it's a tsunami evacuation drill. So folks who are in tsunami inundation zones, after they have their 3 minutes of shaking that would represent the earthquake, of course, then they're practicing evacuating from their tsunami zones immediately, like as if it were really happening. And it's very powerful. It's a very important exercise because people who live in tsunami zones need to know exactly how to get out to get out of the inundation zone and how quickly they can do it. And they need to know that their route is even accessible. You know, they need to know and practice. And in fact, we need to practice in every season, different times of day, because who knows, you know, what time of day it could happen. What they do know now is that the last time there was a massive earthquake and tsunami here on the Oregon coast, which was, you know, more than that, Oregon, Washington, uh, Northern California, Southern British Columbia, a massive Cascadia subduction earthquake and subsequent tsunami. It was 9 o'clock at night in the winter when it would have been dead dark. So it's important for us to practice. So if practicing once a year is inadequate, but it's better than nothing. So if you are living or working in a tsunami zone, please observe the Great American Shakeout tomorrow morning, 10:16 at 10:16, and practice evacuating.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, if we have no other board concerns, I will go ahead and read our announcements. The commissioners will hold a board briefing on Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly commissioner updates. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 866-914-607#. The Commissioners will attend a Civic Advisory Board meeting on October 16th, 2025 at 7 a.m. The meeting will be held at Adventist Health, 1000 3rd Street, Tillamook. The Local Public Safety Coordinating Council teleconference will be held on Monday, October 20th, 2025 at 12 p.m. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 155-858-952. The Commissioners will attend a public hearing on Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. regarding a series of legislative text amendments for residential and commercial zones of the community of Oceanside, including County Land Use Ordinance, Middle Housing Code updates. The hearing will be held at the Port of Tillamook Bay Conference Room, 4000 Blimp Boulevard, Tillamook. The teleconference number for this public hearing is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 887-242-77#. And with that, having no further business to come before the board, we will adjourn at 9:48 a.m.
Have a good one.
Freaking fly, man. It's on your microphone now. Oh, good.